Hi, and welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and today we're going to take a look at the G.I. Joe Classified version 2 Storm Shadow, and here he is. He's number 131 in the line. And some of you may be saying, what do you mean version 2? There have been multiple versions of Storm Shadow. Well, in the O-Ring, he's version 2, and until they find a better way to categorize them, clarify which ones they are, I'm going to look at this guy as version 2, and there's other figures throughout the line. Snake Eyes version 2 is actually 00 Snake Eyes and 01, 02 Snake Eyes, right? So this is version 2. He is a Joe. I've seen people already saying, wow, they're already trying to make it, where he's not Cobra. This guy has been more Joe than Cobra throughout the course of a real American hero. So I will never see Storm Shadow as anything other than a Joe. It's your lore. You can do what you want. But anyway, let's get into him. He has a digital camouflage, which is kind of a weird look, but it is a very iconic look for him. On the side, you got this really nice artwork. You got the Arashikage tattoo right there. Here we have the QR code that takes you to absolutely hell. And right here is his, I guess, what he's good at is the best way to say it, right? Good luck reading that. And on the back here, we have him in his glory. They just kind of show you a couple of things. I love the fact that they're going to show you their Arashikage tattoo. They're always going to focus on that tattoo as long as they can. But anyway, here we can see everything that he has. And of course, we have seen these different hands numerous times, whether it be on Storm Shadow, Quick Kick I think has them, and there's a few other ones. So anyway, let's get into this guy. We will compare him to the original O-Ring version, and we'll see how close they did it, and if we're probably going to get this guy in a retro card or not. Okay, but before we get onto that, please take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification if you like this type of G.I. Joe stuff. Now let's look at this figure. All right, so I got him out. I will admit right off the bat, this is a lot of reuse. So what we do have is the Night Creeper backpack. And I know this because these two little triangle pegs here, they actually hold the crossbow on when they plug in. But the one thing that I noticed that he is missing is the arrow. Or the bolt is what it would be called, but the arrow that should go right here, you can actually see where it goes. So I don't see any arrow unless if I'm missing it. It didn't come with mine or something like that. So you can't really do any shots with an arrow unless you grab another figure. So anyway, looking at the backpack, it already has a bunch of arrows that are molded into it. You have the spots for the two swords that came with the Night Creeper. He doesn't need it because he has a sheath there. You got your little rope on the bottom, and then his bedroll on the top. Here, we have Shadow Tracker's compound crossbow. Countersink does come off. I don't see a place to put this, so it kind of has to stay on there. Nice detail on this. This is a little bit stiffer. It's bent, so you probably have to heat it up and cool it down, but it is stiffer. It is not that really soft plastic or rubber that they were using before. But looking at this, it has some amazing detail. There's no doubt about it. It has some awesome detail to it. Unfortunately, you can't pull back the string or anything. Now, I was looking at the back of the box, and as this thing sits here, it looks like this thing just kind of plugs right in so it can stay on there. But the issue then becomes the countersink, which is in the way. There's really nowhere for you to put it. So we'll have to figure that out after. We get the claws that we also saw with Raptor. I think Nunchuck came with them. Not exactly like Wolverine claws, as one is a little bit longer. It is cupped, so that's where the hand's supposed to go. And if you do look, you can see an L right there for the left and an R for the right. Now, I've had issues. These things really don't fit in their hands. So if you can make it work, that is awesome. We get two different swords. Man, I'm just dropping everything today. Just call me the fumbling punk. So anyway, two swords. If I am correct, these came with movie Snake Eyes. So we have one that is curved. You can see it has a little bit of ridges through it. The handle is painted with a nice red, but it's just all this gray silver, for the most part plastic. And then on this one here, you got the serration into it too. Again, not too much. As a matter of fact, I think these might be the exact same swords. It's hard to tell. One seemed a little bit straighter, but it just might be the plastic. Again, they move back and forth, but they come and they stay straight, so I don't have an issue with that at all. He comes with some extra hands, so we get the 2 fist hands. We've seen numerous times. These do look good. You got the nice detail and the veins kind of popping out. You got your knuckles. And then we have the karate chopping hands, which I think every ninja, every karate expert should come with in some shape or form. All right, let's get into our figure. And at least altogether, he has a new mold. Maybe they're using some reuse of parts. I'm sure they are. That is the name of this game, believe it or not. So quickly, if you look into it, you can see his eyes that are just kind of staring back at you underneath this hood. All right, not sure if that hood comes off. We'll see what we can do. I don't think that it does. But looking at those eyes, I think they look pretty good. I don't see any issues with the paint. You got the digital camo. All right. You have his rope, which if you look over here, well, we'll compare the two. We'll see it. He has a guard here. Now, I believe this is something that is used for archers. Now, maybe I'm wrong. If I am, then please let me know. But I thought this was used for archers to protect their chest and everything. Got a bunch of pouches. I believe this is kind of going to get in the way. We got these 2 sheaths that are on this side of his belt. My moderator, Matthew Matson, this has probably been his biggest pet peeve, that he says that they're on the wrong side, that you are not allowed to have them on here. Samurais do not allow it. It is against the law, and they will take you out in the back. And, well, you saw the last samurai and saw what happened. On the back, it looks like there's some more pouches, and you do have this skirt. And I believe this skirt is really going to get in the way. Going all the way down, he's got these shin guards here. You can see the what's supposed to be just some ties going around it. And I almost said tie wraps. Black on the bottom, and then he has the ninja toe right there. So let's take a look at these 2 figures and see how closely they are, because we always like to compare the stuff to the O-ring. So what we do have is his original compound bow. All right. And if we take a look at this here, it has the countersink on it. This has, I've never known what it is, these extra arrows. So I'd say this looks closer to anything, you know, this looks more close to any other, the crossbow or bow and arrows that we've gotten with Storm Shadow. Because he always comes with a compound bow. You know, like this one here, right? That doesn't really stay on there. He didn't originally have a compound bow, not the original O-ring. All right. And then the swords are, this is just a regular plain sword. I never understood the whole color scheme of being red, along with his backpack with a bunch of arrows for the crossbow. I'm going to take this off. And then obviously he does come with the 3 claws, which was something, like I said, they threw in with one of the other figures. All right. And I believe this was actually made to eventually go with this guy, because it is very essential to a classic version. So looking at the 2 of these, the hood is clearly pulled down a little bit more. This one is more open. But if you look at that camouflage, at least on the face, they put 2 little pieces on the cheek and then like 1 right down the mouth. You get the same piece on the top there. You even got the little angle over here. Looks like they added a couple. You have his rope. All right, and it looks like it's still in a lot of the same positions. Now, I would imagine if they do a retro card, which they probably will, they will remove the skirt. And you look at the front here. It's tied in red. I'm not really sure why he would tie that in red. other than it fits his scheme. The skirt, again, nothing to it at all. He does have the Arashikage tattoo, and is done properly. And even when you look down here, you have the little T there, the V, now it's upside down here, but they did a really good job. Once you get down to the bottom, you can tell that the boots are very similar, but they painted them different. All right. So he has what are somewhat shin guards here. You can't really tell if he has the toe cut there, but they did make things a little bit different. So when they finally do a retro card, they can make some changes, which is perfectly fine with me. Rolled up sleeves, that should make everyone happy. All right. So now let's kind of get this guy armored up and we'll look. So right there, looking at the sheath, I can tell that these are two different swords. All right. So we're going to slide this one right on down there. Get the red ties. They really went a lot with this red here. Then we have the more angled one right there. All right. And down here, I really do like, oh, look, you got the little throwing knives here, which if you have any Mezco, you'll have a bunch of these. If you have Storm Shadow or Snake Eyes. I'm not really sure what these tassels are here for. All right. So we can throw the backpack on them. There's no hole to go through this. Just going to kind of push it out of the way. And now, unfortunately, one of my biggest gripes with the classified is the hole sits way too high up there. All right. And then I guess, and this is supposed to go on like this. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. The countersink can stay right there. It's not going to cause a problem. And that's kind of how he looks suited up. But we didn't look at his articulation because I kind of got a little sidetracked. So his head can not really look up. That's unfortunate. He should be able to look up really well. He can't even look down. Like, he has very limited mobility here. Well, I guess he can look down more if you just kind of push down on the head. But I do believe that this is all one piece. All right. He does the side to side. It is on a neck joint, so he can go back and forth. He can walk like an Egyptian. Here we have his T-pose, nice and smooth. You got your bicep swivel, pinless double elbows. A little tight. All right. Double elbows. He does have the ab crunch, so you're going to be able to get him in some nice tight poses like this, which I do like more. I mentioned that before. He can turn side to side. You can get the Jean-Claude Van Damme, but it makes this thing ride up. This is a thinner. This is thinner. I wish it was a little bit, maybe a little bit thinner for more pliability, like the Jada Street Fighter figures. Drop down hips right there. Look at that. Perfect. Thigh cuts there. Fairly tight knees. Or really tight knees right there. Again, don't try and be He-Man. Don't try and prove a point by breaking your figures. But man, I think I'm going to definitely have to heat this guy up. There's your boot cut and ankles. So you can move this guy in a lot of positions as soon as we get this ankle. I'm sorry, this knee. These knees, because it's not one of them, it's both of them, to bend. And I'm going to have to heat this guy up because I'm not going to put any more pressure on that. That will definitely cause a problem. So let me go heat this guy up. Well, you know what? First, before we do heat him up, let's check out the hands. So we're going to pop the hands off here. They come off nice and easy. What I do want to do is I kind of want to throw on this karate chop hand. And then take a look at this. So which one is this here? That's the O-ring one. That one's definitely not going to fit. So that is your left. I need the right. And I was hoping that maybe you could use the karate chopping hand. you need some sticky tack, this may actually work better. I know somebody talked about maybe popping off their wrist, but then that doesn't really make too much sense. Because I don't want this around the wrist, and obviously it's not supposed to be like that. So, what I'm going to do is take this hand, and I'm going to take it off. Let's grab our left. It's actually easy to see through the camera. There's your left here. Let's see if it fits better on here than on our raptor that we had. I almost called him Vulture, which I know that drives people nuts when you accidentally screw up someone's name. So what I've seen a lot of people do is they said they've cut this in half. I do not like to modify stuff permanently unless if I have multiples, and I do not. So, oh, you know what? This one actually, that actually fits pretty nicely. So he does fit nicely on this figure. Raptor, unfortunately, does not. Matter of fact, this thing pops on so good, it stays absolutely straight. Look at that. This one's actually done properly. So, don't have any problems with that. Let's throw on this one. Let's see if this one's any better. Or, I'm assuming they're going to be the same now. So, I'm going to kind of pry the hands open just a bit here. And get that thumb out of the way. Definitely not going to work with the thumb there. And look at that. So these actually do fit pretty well. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up so we can kind of pose this figure, see how he looks once we got swords and stuff in his hand. But give me 1 second here. All right. So a little bit of heat, heated up the knees, and now they bend perfectly fine. And before anyone says anything, heating up figures in this day and age is just part of the game. Doesn't matter if it's a Classified, a Marvel Legends, a Battleverse, Mythic Legions, sometimes they need to be done. And before anyone says, well, you know what, we didn't need to do that in the 80s, go take a look at this O-ring and tell me it's the same type of plastic. It's not, all right? It's two different things. That's why thumbs and crotches break here. So anyway, hopefully this guy will stand maybe a little bit better than this Storm Shadow. I wonder if they have the same feet. Looks like they have the same feet, and that's problematic because the toe goes up. Him and a few others. Scarlet is one of them. Sometimes you can have some issues standing them. So, all right, let's pop this off. Let's quickly throw a sword on him, and I wonder if the butterfly cut works well enough that having the arm straight out, we can hold it. And unfortunately, it can't. And I know people are going to say, well, oh, just bend the elbow. The whole point is, if I want it to look straight up, or be straight up, it's not bad. It's not the worst. It just needs a little bit more. And then you're able to hold the sword two-handed straight up. Here I can't, not without bending the arms and just making a little bit of modification. So, but this guy here, oops, you get him in some nice poses. Probably have no issues getting up on 1 foot. I really do like this figure. Just quickly looking at him, I do think he's a pretty good looking figure. Staying him on 1 foot, so maybe they made some modifications. Again, both my Storm Shadows tend to want to lean forward because of the toe. They do stand up, but again, I have no issues getting him up on 1 foot or anything like that. So you're gonna be able to get some pretty awesome shots. If you're gonna use the bow and arrow, that's gonna be something that's gonna take a little bit longer just to get it in a proper position. And as we saw how easy the hands come off, now let's see if we can get this head off quickly. Just so you can see if. So I don't see this piece coming off anywhere. Now I know a lot of people think that this was upside down because they've done it before with the retro version of this. I believe there's a retro one where they gave you the hood and they actually had it in the promo pictures backwards. This one is not like that. This is just tucked it down, which is way opposite of this one where this is very open. So, looking at this so far on the wave, this might be the best figure in the wave. Um, there's something very. I've always really liked Storm Shadow version 2. If you told me to pick between these two, I really can't. I'm not sure if one is actually better than the other one. So, and then we go. Let's wrap this up, and you guys can decide whether or not you want to, if you want to go ahead and spend your money on another Storm Shadow. This is, wow, how many Storm Shadows have we had in the classified line? Arctic Storm Shadow, which is actually version 4 Storm Shadow, this Storm Shadow, the retro one, I think that's actually the retro one, and the movie Storm Shadow. So I think this is like the 5th Storm Shadow. There's a good amount of them. Okay, so I'm not sure what else I can say about the Storm Shadow version 2. I love him. He's by far the best of the wave, and of the figures that have recently come out, including Alpine, the Iron Grenadiers, Road Pig, Nemesis Immortal, and Raptor, I think he's by far the best. Tight knees, that's about it, but I think he looks like I want him to. He fits the aesthetic. I think the accessories are pretty good. Perfect? No figure is perfect, but I really do like this. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun with them. I know people are already customizing, like Tony's Figs. He went in, made the changes that he wanted, but for me, I'm perfectly fine with him like this and waiting till they do a retro carded version, because I think we all know that's going to come, as most of these figures will. Once you look at them, you can kind of look and say, hey, this is what they can do to make it retro. But other than that, I think they knocked it out of the park with this one. Good job, guys. All right, so there you go. That is my review of G.I. Joe Classified version 2 Storm Shadow. This is by far my favorite figure of the wave. I think he's pretty much perfect out of the box. Nothing is perfect, but I love him how he is. I don't really have an issue with him. I'll never say a figure is a perfect figure, to be 100% honest. But there are some things that could be done better, like I think the bow and arrow, or the bow, shall I say. They really need a better bow, and I don't know what they can do. But to get a good shot with a figure this size with a bow is very difficult. I mean, I've got them posed on other figures, so it can be done. So I know you can do it, and obviously I can too. But it makes it difficult, and I don't really keep them like that too often. But everything that he comes with, you know, the claws work really well with this figure. Obviously, the swords are good. It's the right type of plastic, which we've been asking for quite some time. The look of them, I'm really happy with. And I know that when we get the version, when we get the retro one, which we probably will, they'll remove the skirt, which is a little cumbersome. But I don't have a problem with Classified being a little different than the O-ring. They're not supposed to be the exact same. If that's what you want, then feel free to go ahead and customize it and make a one-for-one as much as you can. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you very much. If you are on Facebook and you like this type of content, you want to see more of the stuff I review and what other people post, Facebook group page is Punks with Toys, because once you join, you're a punk with toys. Now, don't go anywhere. Please take a second. You like this type of content because you stayed this long, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop a G.I. Joe Classified video. Now, I'm going to get out of here, but don't go anywhere. Right up here, I'm going to leave the Nemesis Immortal, and here is a playlist of all the classified stuff that I've done. Take care.